Aloha! Coming at you from inside the meditation temple today. It's a little hot and sunny outside. I usually do this report closer to the evening hours. So, got a little bit of a different environment. There's quite a few things to talk about today. I'm going to try to keep it brief for you. And yeah, I have no way that I go about really beginning these talks. I just am really tuning into my intuition to guide me as to how to bring this all together for you. I have some concept of what I want to talk about, but I think that that's really speaking to the nature of what is happening right now. So firstly, I want to mention that Venus is still in shadow. So we've been dealing with this Venus retrograde and shadow period now for the past few weeks and really months. And we may be feeling this energy of enlivening and lightening up with Venus, with our relationships, with our values, with our sense of pleasure, our sense of connection, our sense of, learning, because Venus is in Gemini, and communicating and starting to put together this puzzle of mystery that we've been going through these past months. And now, while this can be very encouraging and exciting, at the same time, Venus is still in shadow, and she's still in shadow until July 28th. So as much as we want to be gathering all these facts and drawing conclusions, this is really a time that we want to stay curious. So we might be getting insights that have a little bit more clarity to them now post this eclipse, and that's wonderful. And I would say, record that, take stock of that, write it down, make a mental note, receive that, take the impression of that, but continue to do your research, continue to explore your environment, explore these new connections that are happening right now, and to really remain curious. Gemini is about curiosity. So we have our North Node in Gemini, we have Venus in Gemini. This is all about learning and growing and remaining present to this process. It's not so much about rushing the solutions, rushing the answers right now. It's all about just being in process and really allowing that process to guide us. Because another aspect we have right now, if we're going to talk about Gemini, we've got to talk about Mercury. So Mercury is still retrograde. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. I'm going to repeat a lot of these things because how you learn astrology is just by hearing it over and over and over again. Currently, I'm not doing videos where I'm talking about explaining the astrology from every sign, every planet, every house. If there's interest in that, I might do that in the future. But the way that I learned astrology was just tuning in and understanding these aspects and the correlation to how they manifest in life and in our experience, and then just starting to learn and pick up on the things that resonate with me. So if you don't pick up on everything in the video, that's completely fine. Just pay attention to what resonates with you and see if you can learn something from it. So we have Mercury in Cancer, and Mercury in Cancer is I've talked about this before because Mercury's been in Cancer quite some time. It's like the mind being in the emotions. So we're rearranging and reordering our emotional, subjective world, our inner worlds, our tribe, our community, our family, the way that we feel at home. And Cancer is really the way that we feel at home within. And with the retrograde, it's like we're going back and we're kind of cleaning the house and we're reordering the furniture and we're lighting candles and we're making cookies and we're just really taking care of ourselves as far as the way that we're relating to our mind and our learning and our growth we're taking that time to really digest. You know, Cancer rules the stomach. It's about eating good food and sharing with loved ones and nurturing yourself, taking a warm bath, really doing those things that feel comfortable. So with this aspect right now, it's going to be there squaring Mars until August 1st. So we have Mercury in Cancer square Mars until August 1st. And we have Venus in shadow until July 28th. So these aspects are going on concurrently. So while Venus is in shadow and we have this relationship, let's talk a little bit about this relationship between Mars and Mercury. So a square, in the chart of 360 degrees, a square is 90 degrees. It's a 90-degree slice of the whole pie of the chart. And so that relationship actually represents conflict. So we have Mercury, the mind, in conflict with Mars, our will to action, our will to move forward and to make decisions and to make things happen in our lives. So the mind and our will are in conflict. It's not working out. And Mars is here as well with Chiron. And then we have the moon in Aries tomorrow joining up with Mars and Chiron. So in Hawaii time, that will be around in the early evening, around 5 p.m. tomorrow. So if you're feeling this kind of personal sense of wounded selfhood, in a sense, that's what's coming up. So be aware of that. And I want to speak to this Chiron aspect at 9 degrees of Aries because this is going on until August 12th. So this is something that will continue on even further past Mercury and Mars square and past our Venus coming out of shadow. So this Sabian symbol describes a crystal gazer. So a crystal gazer, this is indicating a development of an inner awareness of collective wholeness. So this is what this 9 degrees of Aries stands for. So right now, with this Chiron aspect in Aries, we're all feeling our personal wound like very deeply. And with Mars being aspected there, it's like a wound of desire. It's like a wound for the desire of what we want ourselves to be. And because this is such a personal experience, and Libra is the opposite of Aries, and Libra rules relationships, and Venus is a ruler of Libra, with Venus in shadow, we can be projecting a lot of our inner feelings about ourselves, our own personal inadequacies, our own personal suffering, our own personal wound onto our partnerships, onto other people we meet, onto just society at large. So this is an aspect that can create some projection, especially while Venus is in shadow. So I want to weave into this when Venus comes out of shadow, July 28th, the Sabian symbol for 21 Gemini, which is the degree she was in before she went into the underworld. She went retrograde. That is a dancing couple in a harvest festival. So I want to share that with you so you can look forward to the end of the month. There will be some sense of reunion, some sense of reconciliation, some sense of a real powerful aha moment, Venus in Gemini, like that awakening of awareness in our mind to understand what this whole process has been about for us. Because it hasn't been just about relationships. It hasn't been just about ourselves. It hasn't been just about what's going on in the world. It's been about the whole stew of it all. And so learning how to discern what our unique relationship is in that matrix of relativity. So coming back to this idea of the crystal gazer and the inner realization of our collective wholeness. So while we're experiencing this personal wound of selfhood, Chiron and Aries, powerfully right now, we can understand that we are a part of this collective. And there's this whole experience where everyone is experiencing this aspect to some degree. So this is why I talk about this, I give this report for the collective, because we are all experiencing this to some extent. And if you want to know more about what house is happening in, you really just have to do the math. You can do your chart for free, or you can contact me for a birth chart reading. I'd be happy to do one for you. And then you can really see, okay, where is this energy in my chart and what house is that happening in? And then you can gain some further clarity and awareness to what aspect of life that this is happening for you. So when we understand that everybody is going through this to a certain extent, it kind of alleviates that burden. I remember meeting this stranger once, and we got into a philosophical conversation, and he told me, you know, people will argue for their limitations. And I thought he was crazy at the time. I thought, people don't argue for their limitations. People want to transcend their limitations. But then I realized that he was right, that oftentimes we do argue for our limitations. We give excuses. Well, this happened to me, and that's why I cannot be vulnerable. And this happened to me in my past, and this is why I don't trust anyone. We all have pain. We all have wounds. We all have traumas, things that have happened to us that cause us to close off, that cause us to argue Mars in Aries with the mind for our limitations, right? Because it's easier sometimes to stay comfortable, to stay small, than to really bloom and grow into our potential. And so just be mindful of this right now with the sun in Cancer and with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, like going over those past feelings, and then being square to Mars, that kind of triggering some anger, some self-protectiveness, or some justification type energy where we're holding ourselves back because we're unwilling to surrender and to allow life to guide us, right? So if we're trying to use our rational willpower right now, it's really not in flow with where we're being asked to allow, let go, surrender, and trust the energies that are guiding us. And the aspect that is speaking to this is the sun in Cancer again, and that's making a trine, which is 120 degrees. So if we cut our 360 degree chart in 3 pieces, it would be 3 trines. So we have a trine, and this is a positive aspect that flows together. This is between Cancer and Neptune in Pisces retrograde. So Cancer, the sun in Cancer, the sun is our ego, right? Like our solar plexus, our sense of self, our sense of identity and personality, really. And that is trine Neptune, which is all about the collective unconscious. So this is our intuition, this is our dreams, this is the greater force that rules the sea, that Poseidon is there, and it's what we know that we know, and we don't know how we know it. It's the unknown known that is moving through us. When we have a dream and we wake up in the morning, we have a sense of knowing exactly what it meant, and yet the dream is so strange we don't know how to contextualize it in our ordinary reality. So this aspect is really trying to tell us that we're being guided and that our sense of self can surrender to this subconscious energy and what that is teaching us. This is really a great time to get into your bodies, because your body is just going to know what to do. It's going to know how to respond to a situation. And if we're not actually physically training our bodies, then we're going to be stuck in this mind and willpower conflict that is an aspect right now for the coming weeks. So getting into our bodies, this can be a yoga practice, this can be meditation, this can be dance, this can be exercising, running, anything that we can do that brings us into more of this visceral, sensorial awareness of ourselves. And from there, we can start working with this intuition, because this is a powerful aspect that's happening right now. So we're like on a ship at sea. And the sea is this grand collective unconscious. And the Cancer is the waves that are coming, and the boat is like our ego, and our will and our Mars and Aries and our Chiron there doesn't know how to steer it in this storm. And then we have the wind coming, and the wind is Mercury, the winds of change. Mercury is mercurial. It's changing all the time. It's that mind, it's that mental energy, it's an air sign. And what we need to do right now, what we can choose to do, rather than trying to control this boat with a motor that doesn't exist, we need to put up our sail. Put up our sail and work with the energy of the wind to guide us. We may want to go east, but if the wind is moving west, we have to use that energy and go west. So this is really a great analogy to describe everything that is happening right now. So the best thing that we can do to discipline ourselves and to experience the most grace and fluidity at this time, and the most successful experiences of ourself and other and community, and this can really be a fun and joyous and illuminating time. And the way to really create that and to ensure that happening is to consciously make that effort to tune in to your body. Your body is your instrument. Your body is your sail in this situation. And that's going to tap you into this subconscious awareness. And from there, you can trust your intuition to lead you into action. And this is going to be a wonderful growing opportunity for all of us. And I'm so excited to explore this and to hear about others, how they're riding these waves. I've already been talking to my housemates and to friends, and I know everyone is experiencing this energy in a powerful way and in a unique way. And to remember that wholeness, that sense of unity in this relativity will really also be grounding at this time. So I want to share with you the mantra. Love in shadow, a wound of desire. It's difficult to know what will transpire. Trust in the sea, your sail to catch wind. Breathe and simply let be. A brave way to begin. I will post a mantra in the notes for today, and you'll see it after the video, and I'm with you there in this experience, and thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Have a great week. Namaste. Aloha.